It's a little hard to breathe in these things. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Cascarab9 here from High Council Media, and in today's video we have a very special treat for you. We're going to be customizing these Master Chief helmets, the one that I'm wearing right here on my head. We're going to be customizing them to be fitting our armor colors, and also probably going to be fixing the tint in these visors too. Joining me in today's video is Iron Legend, otherwise known as Larry, and he also plays as the character Uncle Larry from Return to Reach. So, we're going to be showing you the step-by-step process on how we customize these helmets to look like our Spartans. So that way, if you guys ever come across these helmets within Target or Party City or wherever you can find these helmets at, and if you guys want to have your own custom Halo helmet for, let's say, videos like the one I'm making right now, then you don't need to pay an arm and a leg to do it. So without further ado, let's get right into the video.
Okay, so anyways guys, as you can see, this helmet is completely taped up. We got the visor covered, we got these little breathing apparatuses covered, we got the lights covered. We also have the interior of the helmet completely sealed up with a plastic bag. This way no paint will get on the inside, because we're going to plan to make the inside black to kind of give the helmet a more realistic feel. And so what we use for this is we use some 600 grit sandpaper. We're also going to be using Rust-Oleum spray paint, which you can get at Home Depot for pretty cheap. And we're going to begin our first layer of primer on these helmets as part of our project. And yeah, without further ado, let's take it there.
Hey guys, so Larry just painted the helmet not too long ago in the video, and as you can see, this is part of the process of what I've done to weather his helmet. It's not done yet, of course, because there's still a lot more to be done. I'll show you guys a little bit around as to what I've done so far. So, as you can see, some of the paint, especially the black paint, is a glossy kind of finish. It looks very cheap looking. That's going to be fixed once we get the matte clear coat finish on there. That's not going to affect this chrome or this brushed aluminum kind of look. It won't affect that. But anyways, so this is what's been done so far. Let's get a good shot of the top of the helmet. Looking pretty good, right? The back, see, I still have a lot to do back here. That's where I was testing the weathering on this helmet. And the inside, we're actually going to be painting the insides of these helmets black. Just so that way we have a more authentic kind of feel for the helmet. This is what I did for along this edge right here. And yeah, so I'll show you some of the tools that I used and what paints that I used in this process. Now, if you guys don't really like the way I did it, well, sorry. I mean, I like it, and as far as I know, Larry likes the look of it so far because he was here as I was doing the weathering process. So I'll show you guys some of the stuff that I used. So first of all, the kinds of paints. So we got these paints from Hobby Lobby, and you know, they're just a Model Master paint. Let's see if I could get it to focus. There we go. So yeah, I used Hobby Lobby. This is the chrome silver paint. So that's what was used for the more exposed metal. And then I used the same kind of paint from Hobby Lobby right here. And this right here is, if I could find the front, this right here is just the black. So, yeah. There's that. It's always good for you guys to have painter's tape. Now, granted, the only time I really used painter's tape within this build, or within this painting, was along the edge for the visor, just because I thought that was very important. Along here too, tape was being used. Now, I do recommend one thing is that this Model Master paint actually is quite a liquidy paint. So what I did for these edges is I used actually a very cheap acrylic paint. I didn't use anything too expensive. For that, I just used some Amsterdam acrylic, which, I mean, this is the cheapest stuff money can buy in terms of acrylic paint, I think. I'm not trying to bash Amsterdam. They're pretty good, and I like the way it blends. But for the most part, this is what I use because it's a thicker paint, and I used this thicker paint along the edges so that way it could result in a cleaner edge when I pulled off the tape. Because a liquidy paint, guys, if you use this on a taped off edge, what will happen is that if you don't tape that edge down perfectly, what's going to happen is the paint is going to actually kind of leach into the tape, almost looking like roots or whatever, or veins, because there's these little air pockets for that liquidy paint to go through, which, if you're not careful, could ruin your project if, yeah, which it's just not good. So what I did also is, if I could find it, I used a Micron. I had to reach over and grab it. I used a Micron to do some finer details. This is the one I used. It was the 03. You can't really read it. There we go. I used the 03 Micron. And I used the Micron for some details along inside here, just to get a bit more dirt into that part of the helmet, which I think that looks pretty freaking good if you ask me. I also used it a little bit towards this chin area in the front, just because I thought that way it kind of shows there's a lot of dirt kind of just in the edges. Now, in terms of this bubbliness that you see here, that's because when Larry was painting his helmet, there was something going on here where the paint did kind of bubble in the front. So I did my very best to clean that up, and then along the side I did it there too. And so with the weathering, I kind of just went all out. And as you can see, I still got to do up in there. I still got to do a lot of black detailing because that band is not done at all. But that is how it's looking. I also added a dry brush to the black edges here. It really brings it out. I think it looks fantastic. And did it for that vent there. So anyways, this is one of the steps used in the making of his helmet. and I hope you all kind of enjoyed. Now, how I went about the edges is, I don't really focus too much on being neat because, I mean, in combat, a Spartan is going to be in the thick of it. It's not really going to, they're not going to come out looking clean. They're not going to have their helmets looking great. And so, I mean, maybe I went a little heavy here, but I don't think that's too much of an issue. I think that this scrape that I did along here is pretty good. Really like the detail that I put onto this side, especially this. That looks like a very nice scrape. So, anyways, this is how his helmet looks right now, and by the end of the video, you guys are going to be able to see our completed product. Anyways, hope you all enjoyed this little segment. So, I'll just go over some supplies before I go. So anyways, I used a Micron. All these supplies are not musts, they're just recommends. I'm recommending it, doesn't mean you guys have to. So, Micron pencil, painter's tape, or I should say marker. You're going to want some brushes, and what I recommend is that if you're doing a dry brush for detailing, or for adding in that weathered look, or for adding in the silver, you're going to want a really shitty frayed brush for that. Because that way you can, when you're dry brushing, it's just going to create all these tiny little scratchy looking things, and that's going to be nice. So, an old brush, two very good and okay brushes, Micron marker, painter's tape. Next you're going to want some modeling paints, like Model Master, I think that's what's called, yeah. So I'll get the Model Master paints up in this video, right here. So Model Master paints. Get yourself a paint of acrylic black paint. It could just be any acrylic. I just used Amsterdam for this one. Of course, make sure you got yourself some scissors. You're going to want a nice little bowl just to put your water into. Maybe some Q-tips if you really want to clean some areas if possible. And then also to cut tape or to get tape into some hard to reach places, you're going to want an X-Acto knife. That usually helps as well. So these are the tools I recommend for the weathering process. Now, I'm not a professional cosplayer. I've never done cosplay. I'm actually an artist. That's what I do. That's what I go to school for as well. So, yeah. This was all just based off of my artistic experience, nothing more or less. And if you guys have any other better recommendations for how to go about weathering for future projects, please let me know in the comments below. I am very open to hearing what people have to say about what are some better techniques to use and stuff, because I would always be willing to improve, especially if I work on more of these kinds of builds. So now, without further ado, let's move on to the future segments of the video. Peace. So this is just a small progress portion where I'm just showing you guys what's going on. This one's not really scripted. I'm not going to try making it all that great. I'm just here to show you guys what's going on. That's pretty much it. So as you can see right now, I got the foam. Let's see if I can get it in focus better. There we go. I got the foam out of the helmet. Now, what we're doing is we're going to be spray painting the insides of the helmet black so it looks better, so that way it's not like pink or white on the outside and green on the inside. That would just be really weird. So we're just going to be taking a spray can, going along the inside of it, making sure the visor's covered up with tape inside and out, and yeah, we'll be showing that process. So letting you guys know how they actually installed this foam is we can just go over to here. So definitely a lot of hot glue.
I mean, yeah, this was just so cheaply done. I mean, it's a Halloween costume prop, so of course it's not going to be of anything of quality, but not really the best gluing job. I mean, it's just, as you can see from looking at this foam, it's basically just in 3 spots on the 2 sides, on the inner parts where the lights would be, and on the very top. Now, there's so much of this glue that I don't think we're going to be able to salvage these foam inserts, but by the way it looks, this could very well be 5 millimeters, I think. I'm not really good with telling measurements, but I did buy some EVA foam to create more foam inserts, and if this matches the same thickness as the one I bought, I think the one I bought might be a little thicker. This might be 3 millimeters, and the one I got is 5, which means that I'm probably going to have to go buy more EVA foam.
Alright guys, so in the previous clip you saw that I removed the interior to the Master Chief disguise helmet. It was just, well, one piece of EVA foam cut out to fit the sides and the top and the back of the helmet, and there was a lot of hot glue. And it didn't really look all that great to me, and even though that from a costuming sense and a cosplay sense, that technically probably you only really need that, we decided to take a more display-worthy approach to our helmets because we wanted to kind of make them feel a bit more authentic, and we wanted to just provide this more immersive looking sense to the helmets. So without further ado, I'll just quickly go over what is in the Master Chief disguise helmet, so that way we can get a sense of what was before and how it looks now after. As we flip it over, you can see it's just green on the inside, our one piece of foam, and our warning labels. Nothing really much. Now, as we go over to look at my helmet and how we changed it is, as I said in previous portions of the video, we wanted to paint the interior black, so that way it looked more authentic to how a Spartan's helmet would look, or from how they looked within Halo Reach. Because you do see the interior of your helmet every now and then, or sometimes when you use a hologram armor ability and you walk inside your own hologram, you can see a little bit of what's inside your helmet. But anyways, here it is. As you can see, it's just totally dark in there. We did add foam around the visor to just kind of provide this more realistic look, but also this does provide some sense of cushioning for the face. There's also this foam that goes around the rim of the helmet, and we added this because it looks more like a neck seal, because Spartans can go in vacuums, which is something that we wanted to kind of show, kind of make the helmet look a bit more official, a bit more display worthy, and also it doesn't really add too much of a sense of functionality to the helmet. This is just mainly for looks. It's not necessary, but I added it because it looks cool, and need I say more? As you could also see too, we added our own EVA foam insert because, as you could see, there are no warning labels. Because the warning labels kind of really cheapen the look of the inside of the helmet, and so we wanted to remove those because now this thing looks more like an actual prop than it does a toy. But anyways, that about does it for the interior of the helmet and the difference between the modified helmets that we've made versus the default ones that you get out of the store. Without further ado, we're going to move on to the photo shoot. Larry and I went to the beach and we took some nice shots with our helmets on because we wanted to just showcase these helmets. And so without further ado, let's enjoy some nice photos and some Halo music. And I'll catch you all in the next video.